Hey, Quakes fans, super excited to bring you another pregame recorded Aftershock. Now, don't get too excited. Trey, you may not know this, but the fans have been begging me to get something besides my bland background in my new office for the house we moved into last year, and I haven't decorated that place yet. And they're going to think, seeing this, like, oh, finally, Jamon got some decorations. No, I am in Chicago this week doing things a bit different, not on my normal computer or anything going on. But I am super excited to have Trey Fillmore here from the Blue Balls podcast, as well as the Outfield, which is another independent site that covers New York City FC and does absolutely amazing work. I've been thinking about talking to you guys for a long time. I'm glad we got a game and an excuse to do it. Trey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We're here live in New York. New York, space is hard to come by, so I'm at my job, literally in a warehouse, so I can provide you some beautiful views of the city. So I think in comparison, if your fans were complaining about your background, I've given you a little leg up here.
Yeah, yours is way more interesting than mine for sure. Everyone's background is more interesting than mine, as our fans certainly know. But we've got a very interesting game, coming up this weekend. And I think what's interesting about it is the way that Ronnie kind of talked about the game in terms of the possibility of this being very similar as like a New York Red Bulls game or like a Philadelphia Union game. That he kind of compared it to that when you play against the San Jose Earthquakes. What's your kind of look forward ahead to this particular game? And I mean, New York City FC is on a huge hot streak right now.
Well, I think you meant at least their front four, but basically the whole team. They're buzzsaw right now. They are firing on all cylinders. They have really found themselves offensively. They're hitting their ceilings. They're doing everything that we had expected over the last two games. However, super young team. And a lot of that inexperience shows, especially, as Ronnie said, facing a team like Red Bulls, which has always been a problem for us, and a team like Philadelphia, and a team like San Jose, frankly, like a team that NYCFC loves to build out of possession. That's 1A for them. They found multiple different angles this season, which is why they've been so much more successful, at least in the last two games. But it will be interesting. Obviously, we won our last game 5-4. Two of those goals, NYCFC went down 2-0. Because Seattle did so well, playing against our own recklessness, playing against a young team where if there's a turnover, as long as you're organized up front, you can get something against this NYCFC team, one that is working through some weird rotations in and of itself as well. So I'm expecting excitement. I'm expecting a lot of running. I'm expecting perhaps a lot of turnovers, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. I definitely think San Jose will have opportunities. They do have to play a perfect game and be really sound defensively. But NYCFC is definitely a team that will.
Sure, you're cutting out a bit, but let me quickly jump in while it's getting sorted out on the Wi-Fi. We had our own people at the San Jose press conference this week. Talking with interim coach Alex Cavello. And one of the things that he said is definitely going to continue under the way that he plays is that kind of pressing style that he's basically kind of picked up from Matias Almeida. The thing that he really kind of took into his style of play was really that ability to press, that ability to try to kind of, repress and win the ball higher and try to create those turnovers and take advantage of defensive disorganization in those kind of situations. And I think that's what Dila means when he's talking about this game being a little bit more Red Bulls like or a little bit more like the Union, because both of those teams try to take advantage of those situations. So yeah, these high scoring affairs, the Earthquakes last week with their own 4-3 game, and as you mentioned, NYCFC with a 5-4 game. It seems like every time we predict high scoring affairs in MLS, we get like a 0-0 result. But I just don't see that happening with these two teams. They both really have good attacks. Even though the Quakes are toward the bottom of the West, they have not had any problem scoring goals. one of the better teams in the Western Conference scoring goals this season. They just give up too many of them. And man, does NYCFC have a great attack. Like you said, it's all kind of coming together with 11 goals the last 2 games. I want to talk a little about a couple different things, but let's hit Teddy Castellanos first because, I mean, I think this player is just kind of special in MLS. He never met a shot he didn't like. He's both great at kind of creating a shot of his own, which I don't think works out as well for him all that often, but it can create danger for sure. But he also gets into really great shooting positions, and it's really unique to find a player that can do both of those things really well in MLS, and he seems like he's got the tools. So talk to us a bit about Tadi's success in MLS and how it's coming for him so far this season.
Firstly, of course, the Wi-Fi works great when you and I conversation this.
You're cutting out a bit, but I think you're kind of coming back. Go ahead and try it.
Sure. Tati Castellanos, what more can you say? Golden Boot winner last year. Just a dynamic, exciting player. He's grown so much since he started here. A real modern number 9, as you said, can create his own shot, can work one off the 1-2, can dive in from the edge of the box, can really work at his way inside the box as well, and also plays as a hold-up man. That's something he developed last year as well. Not to mention his ability on set pieces. He scores a lot of goals with these headers. He's supremely athletic. I think what NYCFC has learned in the last 2 games is that they can't fully depend on him, and they know that, and the other players are finding their own shots and working off of him to develop their own shots as well. I think it's a great movement forward for this team. We'll see if it continues. With Tati, I think the biggest thing was there was this huge kind of semi-public spat between himself and the front office about whether or not he would be sold. He really wanted to go to 1 or 2 teams this offseason, but the team felt that they can get a higher value outside of the middle of the European window and wait for this summer where it will be outside of the actual season in Europe. They can get a higher price for him. That upset him, and there's 2 ways a player can react when these things happen. It's, be mad, cross your arms, pout, sit on the bench, or you can play out of your mind and make some highlight real style plays and goals, as you saw from the last game. He had a nutmeg to Rabona cross. I mean, these are things the chains are off. He's not going to be judged fully by this coaching staff. They really just want him to do his thing and let him go. And that's the Styler thing. It's not as pretty as it was last year. It's not as effective, but still exciting, and it's still going to definitely lead to a lot of goals.
So you're breaking up just a touch, but I think we're going to be able to keep it going here. One of the things that I wanted to get into is this kind of midfield. You mentioned that the team is a bit young. You've kind of had, a general in there in the 10 position for quite some time, but now we're going to see a bit more rotation in the central midfield. How do you expect the team to line up on Sunday against the Earthquakes? Who's healthy, and how do you expect everything to look in that central midfield?
Well, that's a great question. Before the first of the 2 legs in Seattle, the night before, Maxi Morales picked up a broken rib in practice. That's
right.
Was awful. Max Morales is our veteran player. He has been here for a while. He was an MVP finalist 1 year and has been in the top 90th percentile in almost every offensive stat there is in this league. So
the best assist man in the league for several years running, really.
Exactly. He picked up 20 in 1 season. So vital to this team. He finally returned to full practice this week. I personally, if I was a betting man, and I am, I would say he's doubtful to show up in this match against San Jose, but that's not necessarily good news for San Jose, because Santi Rodriguez, who we played primarily as a left winger in order to keep, and right winger, in order to keep Max Morales on the field, his natural position is the 10. And although it took a few games to get used to it, he's now clicking with every player. He likes to really work in combination with Talish, Magno, and with Tati Castellanos. He's less of a orchestrator and more of a dynamic playmaker. But I love Santi Rodriguez so much. He's the reason why I joined the Outfield. They asked me to write a bio on him, and I had a great time. I've fallen in love with the player, and I think he's like the future of the number 10, both for NYCFC and a signal of what it can be in the future for the league. So that seems set. The other thing is that the reason they're scoring so many goals is that Keaton Parks also, this year, this team is selling out a lot more to try to get more goals. Keaton Parks is one of the best players in this league. He is so criminally.
You guys have been saying that for a long time, and it's like no one really believes it except for maybe you guys and some other New York outlets.
You just have to watch, because anytime he gets the ball, he always makes the right decision. You can double team him. You can try to push him onto the edge line. It doesn't matter, because he can always find a spot. And yet he's very good at making the intelligent pass, but also he can just bail out when he needs to. He knows when he needs to pass back. He knows when he needs to go over the top. He has all the tools in his basket. The only real issue that he runs into is that he doesn't necessarily have the speed or the get off. But he's not being asked to do that too much in this system. He is it's so great to see him moving so close to the box now and working less as a box to box, or even less as a double pivot, which is where he played last year. Now he's being allowed to move forward and integrate with the four forward players we have right now that are just on a tear. And so when you have that fifth player supporting, it's a mess. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful front lines you have in MLS. The only thing is, of course, is that it leaves another midfield spot open. It leaves our defensive midfielders, no matter who it is. In this game, it's likely I'm breaking up. So that's where, because we're spelling out key parts on everyone else, that's why you run these transitions.
Trey, you're breaking up again. Let me kind of transition a bit, and then you can come back and finish your thought there if you like to.
Sure.
Yeah, just for the last 15 seconds or so. But feel free to work it back in here, because what I want to talk about is a little bit about the CCL run that you had. You ended up getting knocked out by the Sounders, who are now in the final. It was very obvious to everyone that whichever team kind of came out of that semifinal, had a really good chance to be the first MLS team to be able to win Champions League. That finally the teams had won. They had the depth to be able to compete in Champions League, which is something that's always kind of been a problem in MLS. And two, that I think you were up against a couple Liga MX sides that seemed vulnerable at the time. It looks like, unfortunately, that we've lost Trey. Let's see if we can get him back. There he is, back in right now. All right, good. We got you. But coming back to the CCL thing, how much, one, do you think that this team kind of took from that CCL run and the opportunities around it? And two, how much is that contributing the fact that you're no longer having to play in those games to being to the team clicking right now the way that they are? What's the intersection here?
To answer your second question first, I think the second we left CCL, we've scored 11 goals in 2 games. I think that tells you everything. And the fact that the team gets to have a home run of I think 5 games at home immediately after is so important. Because and mentally out then. And I heard, I'm sorry for this Wi-Fi, probably wasn't working earlier. The big issue I heard from all the players was that's something that we underrate in this league and in all these competitions. And the travel was just the biggest issue. Every single step of the way, any second that anyone had a moment near a microphone, they always mentioned that it was killing them, this travel. So the ability to stay at home and rest up those legs and not have to travel on multiple hour flights constantly. I mean, our preseason was in Mexico, and we played our first home game of CCL in California. It's just been ridiculous. Obviously, because we don't have a stadium is a big reason why. But the West Coast travel and all the travel that entailed in CCL in these midweek games was just awful for this team. They really just wanted to quit, frankly, and I don't blame them. But that's something you can't do in those competitions if you want to win. So I think with hopefully this team can make it next year or in the future. They can learn from this and be much better.
Yeah, so you're referring to the CCL game at Bank of California Stadium. And a lot of this was due to just not having CONCACAF approved fields to be able to play on, right? So you've had Citi Field so far this season. You've had Yankee Stadium so far this season. Red Bull Arena, I can't remember if that was CCL only or if there was also a regular season game there. But where's the game going to be played this Sunday? Oh, have we lost him? That's unfortunate. I wanted to get a little bit about the stadium. Trey, if you're able to connect
Sorry,
back.
trying to get you back.
I can talk real quick. So I don't know if you caught my question or not.
We might
there.
have actually pooped out.
I was asking a little bit about the whole stadium situation, having to play home games all over the place. First off, where's the game this weekend? Are you hearing me? See if we can, one more time here. It's going to refresh, spinning. See if we can get this one last question in with Trey. I want to try to get a little bit more perspective on the stadium situation. Thanks for bearing with us. And he's going to try a different connection. We're going to bring him in here. So let me remove out that one. I'll kick that one. Well, no, I don't want to do that. I want to add this one in, but I want to try to remove this one. Hang on a second. I'm going to remove that from there.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Of course, and I hate to say it, but of course the Wi-Fi is fine when we're talking before this. I'm so sorry. I really
so normal, right?
Predict this to happen.
So let me just quickly kind of reset it a little bit. I was talking about having to jump between the different stadiums for the different games. First off, where are we playing this weekend, Trey? And secondly, how are the fans kind of dealing with this kind of musical chairs stadium situation? And are they showing up for this team that really is kind of balling out right now?
Yeah. Well, the same is true now than it has always been. Fans absolutely hate it. This is the biggest word. They hate having a stadium. They have since probably year 2. It's the biggest thing to get questions on. It's the biggest thing hanging over this team right now. We just want to the fans aren't happy because they don't have a stadium to play in. This match itself will be at Yankee Stadium, where the team has had a lot of success. So they're used to playing there. They can get a good amount of fans there as well. So we'll see how that goes. Oh my gosh, we're still running into it. I'm gonna keep.
No, actually, you're good. You're good right now. You're actually good right now.
Oh, sweet, beautiful. So Yankee.
Now's the time to get something in. Whatever you're gonna say, do it fast.
Basically, a lot of moving. It sucks, and the team hates it. The players hate it. The fans hate it probably the most. But this team has found success no matter where they play. If they're playing at home, Red Bull Arena not so much, but the fans don't go there. That's kind of a semi-active protest against the front office. They don't like playing in that arena. They don't like going to that arena. It's like, why are we playing in our rivals' arena? So San Jose would probably have a lot more hope if we were playing there, but they seem really strong at Yankee Stadium and at Citi Field, obviously.
Well, Trey, tell us a little bit about your podcast, the Blue Balls podcast. You're one of the 2 original podcasts that started with the beginning of NYCFC. So tell us a bit about that. Where can people find that and follow that? And then also tell us a little bit about the Outfield. Hopefully we can keep you long enough to do that. We're losing you again. I wonder if...
Oh my God.
Let's see. I wonder if you're able to maybe stop the cam and just do voice, if we can finish it that way. If that's possible.
Let's see if that helps. Are we good?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Right now we're good. I just maybe
okay.
To manage the bandwidth a little bit better. Maybe just let us know your again more about your podcast on the Outfield, if you could.
Great. as I said before, this is perfectly about how casual our podcast is in terms of all these errors going on right now. We strive on trying to be as technical and get into the advanced statistics, the all those fun things formationally, tactically, but also, we like to drink during it sometimes, and we like to talk about fashion and music and whatever else is involved. But we masquerade as smart as well. It's just me and my best bud from growing up. We started this podcast at the beginning, and now we have been credentialed media reporters for years now. It's really a wild ride, but it's a fun time. If you want to make NYCFC your East Coast team because they're fun to watch, and they are fun to watch, have a listen. We just released an episode, a lot less Wi-Fi problems than this one, even though there is a dropped call in that last episode. So it's great. This is a great preview. And the Outfield, I'm blessed to be a part of, if only right now, just by editing stories and pitching ideas. But I did have my first story. I need to get working on some more. I highly suggest it's
true for all of us, by the way.
No, of course. And it started John Mueller, who founded the Outfield, now writes for the Athletic UK. He's brilliant, by the way. He started just
if you're not following John Mueller, you're missing one of the, I think, the most entertaining people on soccer Twitter, honestly. So
100%. And basically, he started the account. I don't know if I want to give away his old Twitter account name, but he entered the NYCFC Twitter space. Super funny. And we were like, we have to have this guy on our podcast. Then he started the Outfield around the same time, which was perfect. So we brought him on the podcast just to pitch the Outfield. And then that blew up. He blew up. He's now on the Athletic. So it's super cool to now kind of be a part of the Outfield now. It's amazing how many, watching someone grow that is so deserving of growing that fast. And it's an honor to be a part of it too. And all those guys are great. And they probably have much better Wi-Fi than me at my job as well.
Kevin Nelson is a guy within American Soccer Analysis. He's the one who made the introduction for myself and Trey for this. And he's in Vegas this week. But, he's a part of that, part of American Soccer Analysis. John Mueller, part of American Soccer Analysis for the longest time as well. Basically, we taught him how to program, and now you can see all the cool stuff that he creates on the Athletic. And he learned a lot of that just like hanging around the forums with American Soccer Analysis. So, you can actually create a whole career out of this if you try. But
you guys have Trey, Paul too, right? Do you have Paul Harvey?
Sorry, you're right. We have Paul Harvey too. I completely forgot about that. He's a more of a newcomer, but he puts out a lot of stuff about goals added in particular.
He's
does
brilliant.
a lot of great visualizations. I think he's going to, I think he's just picking more and more up right now and getting more and more dangerous with his skills. So really some good stuff happening in the New York City FC media space. Around things like tactics and advanced analytics, as you mentioned, Trey. And it's really exciting to see a team come in and have so many people that are really helping take MLS analysis to another level with some of those guys. And it's a really exciting time, and NYCFC at the forefront, both on the field and you could say off the field from the media side as well. So great to have you on, Trey. Hopefully your Wi-Fi is still working, and we maybe should have tried the audio thing a little bit earlier.
Yeah, probably. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I hope you can make this work and stitch it together. Next time
people are enjoying just watching your name pulsate or whatever right now.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I have a face for radio too, so it's all good. But, hey, I appreciate you having me on. Obviously, kind of last minute. I probably could have prepared a little bit better myself as well, and we could have made this work. But it was a great time. I really appreciate it. It's nice to meet the man himself. I've seen you on Twitter for years, and it's nice to know you have a legal government name too, because that was new to me.
Yeah, the old Jamon Quakes, so that people can't find me as easily as they ought to be able to. Well, sometimes we do these things, Trey, to be able to keep things going, as
sure.
you know. So anyway, again, follow at Blue Balls Pod. Follow at, is it it's Outfield NYCFC, correct? At Outfield NYCFC.
I believe so. You can find it. Right.
And then at Trey Fillmore, just the way you see his name on there, but all one word.
Exactly.
You can follow all three of those things to be able to get great coverage of NYCFC. And hey, if you don't have a East Coast team, yeah, might as well pick one, right? Everyone needs to have an East Coast team, and plus the Quakes on the West Coast, of course. So if you're doing those two things, you're doing okay. Trey, once again, thank you for joining us, fans. So crazy start time from a West Coast perspective. This Sunday, it's going to be at 10 o'clock Pacific, and because it's noon here, so it must be 1 o'clock on the East Coast. Did I get all that right, Trey?
You did, and I'm so sorry for you guys. That really stinks for the team.
10 a.m. is kind of interesting for a start time. So we will have the Aftershock post-game show for you, I guess, while you eat lunch or something, because, you know, that's the way it's going to be this week. But we will, as always, have the Aftershock post-game show. It'll be a great time after what is, I'm sure, going to be a wild game. And, you know, if Quakes fans have their way, they'll at least get out with a draw, but maybe we can have a fun 5-5 draw or something like that, Trey. And everyone will be highly entertained, if nothing else, by these two teams going at it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I liked a lot of the moves you guys did in the off season. Surprisingly, I really like the pieces you picked up. I think you guys are really exciting. Love Espinoza. I'm waiting for him to like really reach that potential. And you guys are always fun to watch, if anything. So I'm hoping for the best for you guys, and I'm really excited for a good game.
And I think the craziness isn't going to stop under Alex Cabello if the Seattle game is any indication. So I think we'll be in for a fun one. Trey, one more time, thanks again. And fans, be sure to join us after the game for the Aftershock. As always, Jamon Moore signing out here from our pre-game recorded show. And thank you for joining us. Take care and have a good rest of your day.